I've read books this year, and I've read an okay amount, not the best amount for me personally. I read 60 books, and I'm going to tell you 10, my top 10. They're not actually 10 books, but, well, I mean, they're all books, but it's not exactly 10. I put the stress on the wrong word there. Let's go through it. You'll see that most of my books are ones that, I don't know, I was in a lot of reading slumps this year. I was like in and out of a reading slump throughout the entire year. So most of these are ones that grip you. And if you have a very gripping book, a book that just pulls you through, that you can't stop reading, you can't put down, please send it to me and let me know, because I would very much so enjoy knowing what it is, or potentially reading it, or whatever. I hope you enjoy this. Once again, for the first time today, I'm Moonlight Library. My name's Rachel. Please enjoy my list. Let's go. Okay, so the first one I do not own. I got it from the library. That's The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I love this book. It is the only semi-romance book on this list. This is a sci-fi romance sort of thing. This woman, she goes out to like a kind of bridesmaid party, a bachelorette party, that's what it's called. And she's single. She comes home and oh my God, she has a husband all of a sudden. Who is this man? But then the husband goes in the attic and all of a sudden a different husband comes out and the other husband's gone. And then that is kind of the premise. Every time a husband goes in the attic, another one comes down, and it gets wild. And it's wilder than you could ever even imagine. You could ever even dream of. I feel like it is just an insane ride. I don't know. I couldn't put it down. And it goes to places that I was like, okay, this has to be insane. It has to be good. So that is my number 10 book. I didn't even tell you we're going down from least of my favorites to most of my favorites. I'm not saying that the least of the favorites isn't one of the favorites, because they're all favorites here. So enjoy. Number 9, another one I don't own. I listened to this through Libby, through my library. This is Down the Drain by Julia Fox. It's our only memoir. I am not usually a memoir person, but I heard the clips of this on TikTok or something, and they sounded so wild. This woman's life, she was a dominatrix as a teenager. She has so many stories. It feels like your best friend is coming to sit down and just tell you all of her secrets. And I love a good secret. So if you want someone to gossip at you, this is it. Have Julia Fox gossip at you, because she's reading it and it really just does feel like your best friend sitting next to you being like, here's my wild tale of my life. Number 8, I'm having so many issues right now. I just dropped my phone. Anyways, this one takes place. This one takes place. This one takes place. This one's set. This one is set in in Florida, in Daytona Beach area. I am a Central Florida girly, so I'm like loving it. Also, it's hurricane, disaster, horror, survival, eco-horror sort of thing. I have survived many a hurricane, been in Florida my whole life. And yep, nothing as crazy as this. These are some people primarily in their late teens, early 20s, working at this theme park. It's kind of like a fictional Disney-esque rival, and they stay there during a hurricane so that they can clean up afterwards, but then everything goes wrong and they can't be saved. And they are stuck there, and this is told in interview format. It's very man versus nature. If you are interested in human nature and such, you will enjoy this one as much as I did. Next up, we have Annihilation by Jeff VanderMeer. This is the beginning of a series called the Southern Reach Trilogy, which, funny enough, there's a 4th one that just came out. So I guess now it's like the Southern Reach series. I don't know. This even says book 1 of the Southern Reach trilogy, and then he was like, you know what, it's not a trilogy. Let's not do trilogy. Anyways, this is an area that like the government's like, what happened? We don't know. It's called Area X. If you go inside, there's a ton of biological and like plant mutations. There's mutations on everything. Everything's weird. People are trying to study it. They're sending in scientists, and in this we are following not the first group of scientists, but down the line some group of female scientists going in to study the area. And it is beautiful. It's weird because it is a part of the new weird genre if you haven't read that in that genre. And it's really good. It's sci-fi kind of. I love my good horror, and I love a good body horror, a good survival horror, and that is what we find in The Troop. I've heard for so long, Rachel, you should read The Troop, and I finally got around to it, and this is wriggly, crawly, scary, weird things. There's a group of boys who, with their scoutmaster, they go out to this island to do some camping, and there is a man that is also on the island that is infected with, I don't know, but it's not good, and I loved it. This is our number 5. That is Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. I read the Wayward Children series, not all of them, but some of them. I loved all the ones that I did read. This one follows Roger and Dodger. They're a set of twins. One is very good at language, the other is very good at math. They are an experimental twins that have been separated at birth. A lot of alchemy and weirdness going on. A lot of black magic, dark magic. And we very much so enjoy it. I always thought it was about children. It really is not. They are children for not the full thing. I almost dropped my phone again. I thought the whole time they were like 6 years old before I read this book. That is not true. If you think that, that's not true. They're adults. It's very dark academia. Weirdly enough, it's like if you put real world sci-fi fantasy and mixed it with secret history. That's what you get here. Then number 4, we have Wool by Hugh Howey. So here we go, another one in a series. This is the Silo series, I think. That's the name of the show on Amazon, or Apple. This one takes place in a silo. I don't know exactly how to explain it to you, but there's thousands of people in this silo, and they can't get out of it, but there's a society in there. They've been in there for over 100 years or something. We don't really know why. We don't really know much. We're just following the law and order within that silo, and it has a lot of twists and turns, just as the stairwell, but it has a lot of like twists and turns, and it's like 100-something stories. It's enormous. Definite recommend on this one. I have to finish the rest of the series, but I've loved it so far. Number 3, I got from the library again. This is James by Percival Everett, and we are following James from Huckleberry Finn. That's Jem. I had never read Huckleberry Finn, so I didn't really know how I was going to love this book. I did read Huckleberry Finn before starting James. I didn't have to, it turns out, which is fine because I enjoyed Huckleberry Finn. It was a nice adventure, but James was phenomenal. It's told from Jem's perspective. He goes by James in the book, and he is the runaway slave who is was owned by Huckleberry Finn's guardians, because Huckleberry Finn's dad is the drunk, and Huckleberry Finn ends up pretending to die and fakes his own death, and he ends up running away, and he and Jem end up on a very nice, crazy, wild, weird adventure. So interesting. The face that you show compared to the face that is behind the scenes, because we get to know who Jem really is, or James really is. It's funny. It's thoughtful, it's insightful. There's so much going on here. It's really a beautiful book, and I would recommend it to anyone. Anywho, the next one. Number 2, our penultimate, is Slewfoot by Brom. I'd never read a Brom. Do love the squareness of this book. It is very bewitching. It is a tale of bewitchery. It says it up here. That's real. So, anyways, this one we're following Obita. She is from England, and she's sold, like dowry sold, you know, this is puritanical times, to a man in the Americas. She has a lineage of witches in her family, which is not so cool, but we're following her on her property. There is this cave that, something's afoot. Something is a Slewfoot. Anyways, it's dark, it's twisted, it is a tale of strength, a tale of magic, and I just loved it. It's really a perfect book to read in autumn. So if you haven't read this one, I would highly suggest reading it in like October or November or something. Either one's fine. Beautiful. Last and also most of all, the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. This series is a life changer. It's beautiful. It is magical. It is a science fiction fantasy. It is very literary in a way, diverse. It is thought-provoking. I learned a lot of vocabulary, which is crazy. Kind of difficult to explain. It is such an epic. We have characters who are being persecuted for who they are, and we have other characters trying to control those people and keep them down. We have the world that is kind of a world that's decaying. We have people trying to save and people trying to kill. We have human nature. Everything's going on here. The beginning, from the beginning, your heart's torn out of your chest, and it is really quite a tale that if you haven't read it, you really should pick it up. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of everyone else, because they can probably explain it better than I can. It is my favorite book series, but I can't even talk to you about it. Who knows? I don't even know. Anyways, thanks for being here. I appreciate you as always. Let me know some of your favorite books. Let me know some books that propelled you through the year, because I would love to know what maybe I should pick up. And I appreciate you as always. Thank you for being here with me, 2024 edition. Out.